Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Uganda Zoom information meeting. And I'm Lori Anderson. I'm one of the trip leaders for Green Adventures, and I have been a participant on numerous trips, just like you guys. And I think I've been a participant on 18 trips at this point, and I've been a trip leader on 15. And I have been on this Uganda trip 3 times. Well, once as a participant, and I've led it twice. And so this coming May will be trip number 4. And so what we're going to go through in this Zoom is give you a rundown on what the itinerary looks like and what you may need to prepare, hope to answer any questions you may have. Throw your questions in the chat. You guys all know me and you know that I'll just keep talking. And so raise your hand, throw a question in the chat. This is all to answer your questions, and so let's get that done. So anyway, right up front, you can see here, Green Adventures. We have many destinations, and new trips happening all the time. So check our website often to see the new stuff that Tara is always coming up with. All right. Our mission, we try to help people fall in love with wild places through extraordinary eco adventures and to protect people, places, ecosystems through ecotourism. This picture in the background here is from the Salmon River trip, 80 miles down the Salmon River. That's always held in August. And okay, so the highlight of this trip is the mountain gorillas. If you want to make a note of this book, Gorillas in the Mist, it's a book and a movie, Sigourney Weaver in the movie, but it's the story of Diane Fossey and all the work that she did with mountain gorillas and to help save them and bring attention to them and everything that they're about. And it's a fabulous read and a great movie. So that we just throw that in here, if you want to, a little background before you go. All right, Uganda. Uganda is also known as the Pearl of Africa. And I knew when I went on the first trips to Africa, I knew I would like Africa. I like to travel everywhere, but I never expected to fall in love with Africa. And I think you will too. Everything, the animals, of course, but the people, the landscape, everything, the music, everything, every vibration possible. You are going to love this trip to Uganda. Okay, so where is Uganda? Okay, it's the pink country right here on this slide. And we will cross the equator while we're on this trip. The equator runs like right through here. And we are going to, when we have another map coming up as well that shows us our route, and we're making a big circle in Uganda here, starting here in Entebbe, and then working our way south and getting back to Entebbe. Okay, how do you get there? Okay, all the major airlines can get you there. So you can, start looking at, what airline you may want to take, what major city you may want to fly out of. Personally, I fly Delta only because I'm a Delta girl. I flew them my whole full-time career. And so I prefer Delta, and that takes me Chicago through Amsterdam, then Amsterdam to Entebbe. But we show you here a few other airlines that are possible. And what you'll be receiving is very exact information of when to arrive, like what date to arrive by and by such and such a time. And then you'll also receive what day to depart, and your flight should be after such and such a time. Okay, now I know Chris, for sure, is also going on to Tanzania for the Tanzania women's trip, and her and I will take a little hopper plane from one country to the next to get that accomplished. Don't be surprised on your flight if I know the Delta flight for sure, we make a stop in Rwanda, and we don't get off the plane. Some people get off, some people get on, but that's just a layover for us where we stay on the plane. So I just bring that up so that you're not surprised of like, what? I wanted to get like right to Entebbe. Okay, so don't be surprised by that. you have that little layover there, at least with the Delta flight. Um, all total, it's going to be like about 24 hours of travel. I know from Chicago to Amsterdam is about 7 or 8 hours. And then, layover, of course, and then Amsterdam into Entebbe is another 9. So, that adds up to like 16 or 17. But you have to add in any international flight. You have to be to the airport, like 3 hours ahead of time. You're going to have a layover in between, all of that. So just plan for 24 hours of travel. I poked around a little bit at what prices are at right now. They're all over the board. I was finding, somewhere 900, 1,300 round trip. And I was just checking like Chicago, and I'm not quite sure where the rest of you may fly out of, what your major city is. But know that, as it's stated here, all of the travel parameters will be provided. You'll be getting that soon. I think our email said October 15th. We aim to get an email out that starts to give you all of the those details of, like, arrive by this date, blah blah blah. What you also need to know is that on your arrival at the airport, there will be someone there to pick you up. It will either be our local guide himself, or it will be someone from the staff of our first lodge. And so you don't have to worry about, like, oh my gosh, how do I get to the airport, to our lodge? There will be someone there to pick you up, and they'll have either a Green Adventure sign or they'll have a sign with your name. Okay. That makes that easy. And it's a quick little ride from the airport to our lodge. It's not far at all. All right. What else might you need? You need to have a valid passport with at least 2 blank pages, and the expiration date has to be out 6 months beyond your time in Uganda. Or for Chris, beyond your time in Tanzania. So just, double check your passport. What's your expiration date so that you don't get caught short on that. Uganda is a country where you do need a yellow fever vaccination. It's called the yellow card. That's a one and done vaccination. If you've traveled internationally before to countries that have needed that, and then you've gotten that shot in the past, you don't need it again. It's a one and done. But this is very important, and they will check for it. There are some provisions age-wise. I meant to look this up. Sorry. I think off the top of my head, it's 60 and older. You can get a letter from your doctor exempting you from that. And again, I'm not quite sure if it's 60, 62, something like that. Or, get the vaccination itself. The tourist visa is $50. It's online visa, pretty straightforward. And the turnaround time and processing it is pretty quick as well. And again, we will, in all of our documents that we send you, are very specific instructions of how to fill all of this information out. We give you the answers that they're looking for. Okay. And this information here about the COVID test, of course, goes back to, at one point we had to have proof of COVID testing and all of that. We no longer have to test ahead of flying. That's only needed if you are not vaccinated. Okay. So otherwise you don't have to worry about that. Okay. As always, you may be traveling by yourself, but you're never alone. We're going to flood you with information, packing lists, the entry requirements, your flight requirements, all of that. We strongly suggest you get travel insurance. Okay. This isn't just handy for, lost luggage, things like that. Very, very important if you need any sort of medical attention along the way. That's where travel insurance really comes into play. One suggestion that I would give you is look for a company that offers concierge service. And where that comes in handy is if you have any flight delay, the concierge steps in and helps with all the rebooking onto new flights. And I bring that up because we did have that happen last year with a gal on the Tanzania flight. She ran into a bunch of weather delays right here in Wisconsin, like trying to get from Madison to Chicago, all sorts of weather delays where she missed the flight in Chicago, that got her to Amsterdam. And her travel agent, or excuse me, the travel insurance stepped in, did all the rebooking, and still got her to us in time. Okay. Okay, 24/7 on-site support is Green Adventures. We've got people in the office back home that that can help out with anything. Again, if something would come up with an illness or an accident, we help along the way with that as well. And this arrange for necessary tests again is if you're um, uh, don't have the COVID vaccinations. If at that point there's anything that we need to do, as this is always changing with the world that we are in today, and the whatever may be on the horizon in April. Okay, and our team in Uganda also takes us all the way to the airport and make sure that we get there in time for our flight. So you don't have to worry about, hey, how do I get from that last lodge back to the airport? Our guide will get you there. Okay, who is our guide? Here he is. His name is Paul Temwenya, and he's just the best of the best. If you are not a birder, you'll become one. Okay, I was not. I will be honest and tell you, didn't consider myself a birder before I went on these trips. But going to any country in Africa will make you a birder, even if it is just for the 2 weeks that you're on this trip. Become a birder. Okay, you will be amazed by the size and whether it's teeny tiny birds or great big birds or whatever, and the colors. And Paul is just extraordinary at finding the birds and identifying the birds. He will make a birder out of you, no doubt about it. And he's a ton of fun. All right, this is basically what a safari vehicle looks like. You can kind of see in here, there is an aisle right here in the middle. So there are 6 seats in the back. Everybody has a window seat. Paul sits up here in front. Notice, yep, they drive on the opposite side of the car. They drive on the opposite side of the roads. There's also a seat way up front here, and you're welcome to try that out as well. We encourage people to move around and from one day to the next and just get a feel for the different seats that are in the vehicle. There's no such thing as a bad seat. They all give you a good window view. And anytime we're in one of the parks on safari, we pop open the roof, and then you can, again, this next slide shows it, easy to stand up and get like a unobstructed view of whatever is around. I'm on the short side, so I also will on safari day, I kick off my hiking boots as soon as I get into the vehicle, and then I can stand on the seats in my stocking feet, and then and again get this unobstructed view. All right, you will notice on our packing list that we will ask for no roller bags, to use a duffel, and this is why. Everything has to fit in the back of the safari vehicle on the days where we're moving from one lodge to another. Okay, so that's the majority of everything that you're packing will be in your duffel. I say the majority because what you will have up front with you is a day pack, like a small backpack that carries your water bottle, a rain jacket. Maybe it's cool in the morning. We start out with a sweatshirt. It gives you a place to throw that sweatshirt. Any medication you may need during the day, a toilet kit, things like that will be with you all day long. But while we're traveling from one location to another and our duffels are packed back here, they're not available during the day. They're available once we get to our lodge at the end of the day. Okay? Kind of a little matrix puzzle there for Paul to fit them all in. Okay, what to wear? You'll notice all of these colors are, kind of muted, forest friendly. I have to laugh that the rain pants that are shown there on the left are black, because we will tell you, especially for safari pants, safari shirts, no black and no navy blue. Those 2 colors attract tsetse flies, and we do our best to minimize attracting tsetse flies into the building, into the vehicle. And so we will ask you, when you're shopping for pants and safari shirts, no navy and no black. This image in the lower right hand is permethrin, and that's a spray that you can use on your clothing ahead of time. And that's also insect repellent. I do that every trip. It's good for, I don't know, a handful of washings. I just stretch a long clothesline in my garage, hang everything up on this clothesline, and give it a good spray. Both shirts, and all of my safari pants. Okay, and again, that just is going to minimize um, uh, any issue that we may have with insects. Now, one of the questions I always get, there's three questions I always get when people hear about Africa, and I'll get to these as we go along. If I forget, remind me. But how bad are the bugs? What's the food like, and what is the bathroom situation like? Okay, so while we're here on this permethrin, we'll talk about the bugs. Um, this is what we do to minimize issues with the bugs. So mosquitoes, tsetse flies, things like that. I will say the bugs are not horrendous. You don't need like netting, like netting for over your face or anything like that. It has never ever been like that. Have I seen tsetse flies? Absolutely. They're kind of big, like our horse flies or deer flies. And if you get stung, if you get bit by them, it's a nasty bite, just like horse flies, things like that. The thing with tsetse flies is that some of them can carry sleeping sickness, and that's why we really want to do the best we can to minimize any of that. We've never had any issues with that with anybody on the trip, but that's the reason behind the tsetse fly stuff. And mosquitoes, of course, in throughout Africa, in Uganda, can carry either yellow fever or malaria. And malaria will be part of the medicines that you'll want to talk to your doctor about taking medicine or taking malaria pills throughout the trip. And I can talk about that more in a bit as well. Um, Hiking boots. You want like ankle high hiking boots. Okay. Um, for on this trip especially, because we'll be going into the jungle to find the chimpanzees, and we'll be going into the jungle to find the mountain gorillas. So you want to have something, good support and ankle high. Okay. And comfortable socks go along with that. Any questions on, one very, very important thing about clothing in any African country: no camouflage. Camouflage is reserved for the military only, and it's considered against the law for anyone else to wear it. Okay. And invariably, someone will say, well, Lori, what about my backpack? It's camouflage. Can I bring that? No, no camouflage. No backpack, no scarf, no buff, nothing, no camouflage. It's strictly reserved for the military and against the law for anyone else. Is there any other question on clothing before I go any further? One thing I was going to add is, for those of you already booked on this trip, is start watching for sales and clearances now. Like REI has great clearances, Sierra Trading, LL Bean, all of those guys have great sales and clearance racks that you can, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get this sort of clothing. The other thing is you can wear these pants and shirts numerous days. Okay. Where, especially like on safari days in the parks, things like that. Like our two treks for the chimpanzee and for the gorillas are towards the end of the trip. On those days, your clothing's going to get a workout because we're going to be in, rainforest and, trudging through through all of the undergrowth and things like that. But on days where we're in the safari vehicles, that's easy peasy to get a couple days worth of wear out of shirts and pants. Okay. There's also the opportunity, I know at least one place about midway through the trip where you could have some things cleaned. We're at the Chimpanzee Lodge 2 nights, and they offer a great laundry service. Don't have the prices off the top of my head, but it's worthwhile if there's something that you want to get freshened up. Even if it's just like your pajamas halfway through. I take advantage of that all the time and have some laundry done partway through. All right. This slide here is shows you, what other equipment are you going to need? Absolutely binoculars. Everybody's going to want their own pair of binoculars. When we're out in the parks on safari, the animals could be up close or they could be off in the distance, and you're going to want binoculars for sure. And again, home to so many different types of birds. You're absolutely going to want your binoculars for that. In the upper right-hand corner is, a better camera. Do you need that? Absolutely not. Okay. Don't feel you have to go out and get a good camera. If you have one, you love it, absolutely. I'll have mine with me. But today's cell phones take incredible pictures and incredible videos. So don't feel you have to go out and get the latest and greatest high-end camera. You will get stunning pictures off of your cell phone alone. Okay. All right. What's our plan? We're going to see this map a couple times throughout this session, and you can see we just make this large loop all the way around. And we're going to start here in Entebbe. And here's our quick, our itinerary. We start at the Papyrus Guest House when you land, and then we move to Pakuba Safari Lodge. We're there for 3 nights. We move to the Chimpanzee View Guest House. That's when we have our trek to see the chimpanzees in the Kabali Forest. Then we move to Ashasha Jungle Lodge for 1 night. Bakiga has us for the gorilla trek. And then we end at this Rakobo Rock Lodge. Okay, so we're moving around quite a bit. We're making one big giant circle. All right, our first part of the excursion, we just start this trip off running from right from the get-go. Our first day is out on this Mabamba Swamp, which is out on Lake Victoria. So let's see what that looks like. All right. We're going to, on this excursion, we are trying to find the shoebill stork. And so we're going to move into these little canoes as we make our way out to the swamp. Okay, the swamp is huge. It's a big marsh area that's out on Lake Victoria. You can see here where we move into these smaller wooden boats, and there's 2 guides that help us through there. One guy up front with this long stick, and another guy in back. He does have a motor on it, but at times the areas that we go through are too shallow and they can't use the motor. And so they use these long poles and just kind of push the boat, the smaller canoe through. Once in a while, that guy up front has to jump in the water and pull it through. I'm telling you, the first time I saw them do that, I was like, I've seen the African Queen. I know what this is going to look like when he comes back in the boat. Luckily, no leeches on him. But I'm telling you, my heart was racing for this guy. All right, here's a little video. I don't know if it has sound, to tell you the truth. But this just shows you how we first start out getting into this larger boat, big wooden boat. It's very deep. And we take that out across Lake Victoria to where we get to, this is Papyrus is what you're seeing along the side here. And it's very, very thick. And then there are different channels in here. These guys know what they're doing. They know where to look to find the shoebill stork. It opens up sometimes to these lily pad areas. And here's what I was explaining, that it sometimes gets so shallow they have to push their way through. And that's what we're after, the shoebill stork. This guy is huge. They're like 3 to 4 feet tall. And they're absolutely prehistoric looking. And the guides that are with us, they will keep hunting and hunting until they find it. All right, that's our shoebill. Okay, this is just gives you what this bigger boat looks like from that we start out in. And then the smaller boat fits usually 2 to 3 people. I've seen as many as 4 people plus the guides. And it's just an experience like no other to be in the middle of this swamp. That's the big guy that we're after. Absolutely looks like a dinosaur. Okay, along the way, we're going to see a bunch of other birds. Probably we got an egret here, some malachite kingfisher that's up in the upper right-hand corner. This duck down in the bottom here is simply called the yellow-billed duck, and then this guy over in the lower left is an African jacana. Tons and tons of birds out in this swamp area. All right, our next excursion takes us to the Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary. And this, and you're going to see the word sanctuary. This is the only time on either one of our Africa trips that we're actually in a sanctuary. The other parks that we are in are open, completely wild, no fences, none of that. But the Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary is exactly that. They are have taken in rhinos, and they are have been working to increase the population to a point where they can get them out, put them back into the wild. And we're going to learn all about that. Like I say, it's a sanctuary. Yes, does it have fences around them? Will you see those fences? Probably not, because the sanctuary is absolutely huge. And what we do while we're out here is we get the opportunity to walk with guides and actually walk near the rhinos. And okay, here's the map again. This puts us up here in section C. And yeah, so it's the only place where you can actually walk among the wild rhinos. Here's a mom with a little baby. Okay, there's other wildlife in here as well. We'll see, probably see some different types of antelope. They have a resident shoebill in the sanctuary. I have not seen it yet, but they do have shoebill there as well. What happens is we will walk with a ranger. We'll get some instruction ahead of time of what to do, what to expect, how close we'll be able to get to the rhinos. They'll give us instructions on what to do if the rhinos start walking towards us. And then off we go. You can see where this is where, again, you need those hiking boots. We're right in the thick of it. And this is a little video, I believe. Yeah. Okay, yeah, what I wanted to, I wanted to start again. What I wanted you to see there is how close you are. Okay, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's not in the vehicle for a change, trying to see animals. This is, we're walking around right in the sanctuaries, and rangers take us there, or excuse me, guides take us there. We probably will see rangers off to the side. They have rangers all the time that know exactly where the rhinos are at, and help the guides get us to where we can see them. Okay, and again, this just gives you an idea of how close are we actually to these rhinos. Okay, from there we head up to this a national park. It looks like it's pronounced like Murchison, but it's not. It's simply like Matchin Falls. And that always, looks confusing or whatever, but Matchin Falls. And we spend a couple of different ways of seeing this whole area. We'll have a game safari in the national park. We will see the falls from above the falls. It goes through this very narrow channel and then drops hundreds of feet. And then on another day, we take a boat ride up the Nile River to the base of the falls. So we spend a lot of time in this area. And yeah, that pretty much just explained all of that. We're going to be in this whole area here. And so at one point, it looks like this, out on safari, hoping to see all different types of animals. Elephants up close and personal, giraffes. This is all a possibility of what we may be able to see. A lot of different types of animals in Uganda. Up in the top, these are hartebeest. In the upper right is an antelope called the Uganda cob. We are most likely going to see hundreds and hundreds of these animals. They're in Uganda. They're not in Tanzania. And then in the bottom here is a waterbuck. And then on this slide here, in this upper left-hand corner, is a little monkey called a Patas monkey. It's like Patas. Beautiful, red hair. Kind of partial to that guy. I'm not quite sure why. Then we got a leopard up in the upper right. The leopards are elusive. They are so well hidden, so well camouflaged. We can never guarantee any animal, that we'll see anything. If anybody's going to find a leopard, it'll be Paul. These guys are amazing at the distance and how they can find these things that are so well camouflaged in the trees. So a good chance of us finding leopards. This guy down on the bottom, monitor lizard. And then this in the lower left-hand corner is my personal spirit animal for all of Africa, is a warthog. And I love these guys because when they run, they stick their tails straight up and they just look happy. So that's my spirit animal. And I kind of hope that along the way you find something that speaks to you and is your spirit animal. All right, so here's another view of this whole same area that we're in. This is the falls itself, looking, of course, at the base of the falls. We're going to spend some time way up here at this overlook where the falls actually, comes over into this narrow channel, and it's fabulous. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad waterfall, and this is crazy amount of power of water coming through here. So we'll spend some time up there. And then we're also going to get on a boat on the river that is below this and check out the wildlife that's all along the river. Okay, so this is a little boat that we're going to get on. And a guide goes with us and explains everything that we're seeing along the way. This is Libby. This was in 2021. And you can see this big friend that's right behind her is a big old Nile crocodile. We often see elephants right along the shoreline. Sometimes they're right in the water, depending upon the water level. If the river is high, then some of the brush that they like to eat is actually in the water, and they wade out into the water and kind of have their salad right there from the water. So good chance of seeing elephants on that boat ride. Thousands and thousands of birds. Obviously, all the water birds are along here. So another great birding opportunity. Hippopotamus are all along the shoreline, and we're bound to see plenty of hippos. This is the African fish eagle in the middle, and another type of kingfisher here off to the side. And we will take this boat ride up to the base of the waterfalls as far as we're allowed to go, or I should say as close as we're allowed to go. So it's just kind of cool to get a view of that waterfall from both above and then right at the base. And nothing like having a Nile while you're out on the Nile, So yeah, any of you that are beer drinkers, there you go. Got to have a Nile on the Nile. All right. From there, we head further south down here to the Kabale National Forest, and that's where we get to our chimpanzee trek. All right. So the next couple of slides will give you a good indication of how close do we actually get to chimpanzees. And what the next few slides are going to show you is we start out with some instructions from the guides that work in the forest. There'll be a guide that goes with us and also a ranger, and they both will have rifles with them. Now they carry rifles um, in case we run into any forest elephants. I have never seen a forest elephant. I have seen evidence of forest elephants. I've seen boardwalks that the elephants have walked over that are absolutely destroyed. We've seen footprints of the elephants. We've seen uh, uh, other evidence that elephants have been nearby, but I've never seen an actual forest elephant. But they're more aggressive than the elephants that are in the parks, and so they carry their guns and they will fire them into the air to scare the elephants off. They're not going to shoot an animal. Okay, they're not there to shoot any of the animals. You don't have to worry about that. And we are allowed to get within 30 feet of the chimpanzees. However, if we're standing still and the chimpanzees come closer, we just stand still and we let them come closer. Have I seen that happen? Absolutely. I had 4 males run right past my leg this year. They were just, I don't know, whatever, being crazy and running and whatever, making a bunch of noise. And before I knew it, they just like ran right past my leg. So yeah, they can come closer. We will see all types of behavior. The chimpanzees could be high up in the trees and they eat a bunch of figs, and you'll see, mamas, babies, or in this picture like this, we often see them on the ground, and we study their behaviors there as well. Um, yeah, Kibale National Park, primate capital of the world. We're likely to see some other mammals as well. Here's another little monkey. We're going to get back to some more pictures of the chimpanzees, but this just gives you a view of, this is our lodge when we are in this area. This is the chimpanzee view lodge, and these little huts are, I mean, it's like being in a fairy tale. I mean, look at this view, right? You can't even believe it. Here's a little video of what the lodge is like. Shower, step out on the porch, and just this sweeping view of the valley. It's just absolutely a fairy tale. This will give me a good reminder that I was going to talk to you. Everybody always asks, like, what are the bathrooms like in Uganda? All of our lodges will have flushing toilets and running showers. We don't use any of the water. We don't drink the water anywhere in Uganda other than if we get a bottled water. Okay, so we don't use the faucets for any drinking water. We don't use that water for brushing our teeth. Okay, so you want to use bottled water for rinsing off your toothbrush. While all of our lodges have flushing toilets, it's very possible if we have to stop at a rest area along the way, like let's say we stop at a gas station and then want to use their restrooms, it's not unusual in Uganda for those toilet areas to be ceramic pit toilets that you have to squat over. Okay, so just be prepared for that. We always will suggest too, when we stop at any of those rest areas, take your toilet kit with you so that you are sure to have toilet paper. Sometimes it's stocked in these rest areas and sometimes not. Okay, so you just take it with every time, and then you have what you need. Okay, any questions there on bathrooms, water, anything like that? Oh, I'll segue right to food. That's the other question that I always get, is like, what's the food like? You won't have anything weird. Okay, like you're not going to get, nobody's going to serve you zebra or warthog or anything like that. There'll be a lot of chicken, there'll be fish, there'll be some beef, um, and lots of fresh salads, fruits, vegetables. You can eat anything that the lodges serve you. Okay, they all cook to Western standards. We're not going to be in any villages and near any street food or anything like that. But the lodges, anything they serve, you can eat, and that includes like salads. Like oftentimes you'll be warned, like, oh, if you go to a developing country, don't eat the salads because that'll be washed with the water. All of these lodges cook to Western standards. We have never had anybody get sick from from anything at any of these lodges. So you can feel good about that. Breakfasts will be, there's always coffee, teas, hot chocolate. Uh, Most of the time it's eggs cooked to like cooked to order. They have um, scrambled eggs, fried eggs. Yeah, just about like Spanish omelets are like super popular at every one of the lodges. They'll have like Spanish omelet with peppers in it and things like that. So the food is all good. Great, actually. All right. We saw that. This just gives you a little glimpse of like what's the landscape look like. Not unusual to see a troop of baboons along the side of the road. This is one of the guides from the chimpanzee tour that he'll give us some instructions before we head into the forest, what to expect, how we should behave around the chimpanzees. And we'll mask up when we go into the forest to find them. And that's because these guys, along with the mountain gorillas, are so close to us in DNA. We don't want to transmit anything to them. That's the last thing we want to do is to, anything we may be carrying, pass it off to them. So for their protection, we'll go on these treks with face masks on. Okay. And these are both in rainforests. So this day is probably going to be muggy. We're going to wear long sleeves. We'll tuck our pants into our socks. It's going to be kind of muggy, but it's also going to be extremely exciting. We could be walking on muddy paths. We could be walking on gravel paths, or like this is over little boardwalk. Again, like I told you in the past too, there are times this boardwalk looks really good. There's been times it's more broken boards because the elephant has come through and walked on it as well. Here's a chimpanzee up in the tree. And again, we start this trek early in the morning. The best chance of seeing the chimpanzees while they're active and up in the trees. The guides know that, and so we try to catch them while they're up in the trees. And then they come down like towards the end of our hike. We'll see more of them on the ground typically. Okay, we just stand by and watch their behavior. This gives you an indication of how close we possibly can be. These guys are grooming each other.
Please make sure you sit down.
Again, what I want you to see there is just how close we may be to the chimpanzees. All right, I'm going to move on to this video. This one at the end, you'll hear, I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one, where you'll hear them calling. Okay, could you hear that? Everybody hear that? Oh, you couldn't? Oh no. Sorry. Oh my gosh, sorry. I don't know why it plays on mine and not yours. Oh, so sorry. These guys, they were like reacting to like calls that were above them in the canopy. They're very, very, very loud. We'll hear them calling at some point for sure. Okay, here's a couple more guys laying around being lazy. And at the end, you get a certificate that you were successful at chimpanzee tracking. Again, this is a view from our lodge. It's stunning sunrises and sunsets either way. A few more views of what does the landscape look like around Uganda. And from here, we're going to head to this Ashasha wilderness on our way to where we um, uh, are on our towards the end of the trip. We see the gorillas. Okay, so in this Queen Elizabeth area down in the Ashasha sector is known for the tree climbing lions. Okay, so if you can see in this tree, there are two of them. There's one here and one here. There's Tara pointing again to the tree climbing lions. All lions can do this. They all can climb in trees, no matter what country that you're in. And they climb up in the tree to get away from the heat that's down amongst the grasses, and to get away from ants and other bugs that might be biting them. It's just an adaptation that they've come up with. And it also gives them a great vantage point for seeing what other food may be nearby. And the other big antelope that we may see in this area, these are topi. You can tell them by they always look like they're stained, like their back legs and the front legs are like stained. Elephant close by. These are Cape buffalo, part of the Big Five. And here's some more tree climbing lions. This was taken with a cell phone. Okay, cell phone on Zoom. It's crazy. Little sleepy mama. All right, from there we keep on moving further south. We're now going to be down here. And to see the mountain gorillas. All right. On this day, we will, again, we'll get instructions from their guides, and we go out in an even bigger entourage. Along with the guides, we will also have a ranger, and again, they'll both have rifles with them. Same thing in case we see forest elephants along the way. Again, I've never seen a forest elephant, but they do have that along, again, to fire into the air. The other thing that the other person that will be with each of us, we hire porters to for everybody that's in our group. And the porters will carry your backpack and your water, and if you have a good camera and all of that. They carry everything so that you can concentrate on hiking through this forest. It's called the impenetrable forest for a reason. It's we'll be on a trail for a little bit, and then as we get closer to where the gorillas are, we're off trail. And the guide in front of us, he or she could have a big machete, like, they'll be cutting back on ferns and branches and things like that. And we're just in the thick of the jungle. Again, it's rainforest, so it's probably going to be humid, but we're going to be in long sleeves, long pants stuck into our socks again, as we are off to find the gorillas. They have trackers that know where the gorillas nested the night before. They create a new nest every day, every night. And so the trackers start out from that nest, and then they track them to where they're located. And then they're in constant communication with our guide. And that's how they are able to locate them and get us to the gorillas. In the past, it's worked a couple of different ways. Sometimes depending upon the number of groups and people that they have, and where the gorillas are located, there may be what they call an easy hike to a gorilla family, or a medium hike to a troop. And then there's also hard. Okay. I've been on only medium hikes, and going on the easy hike, that's not like don't think of that at all as like taking the easy way out. What that means is that like a family is probably located maybe within a mile, and the terrain is probably relatively flat. The medium ones, they could be further away, and your terrain is going to be more up and down, up and down. this year when I was there this April. In our group, we had 4, and then there were 2 people that happened to be they were each traveling alone, and they joined our group, and we were the only ones there that day. Okay, the only tourists there that day. So we all got put into one group, and it ended up being a medium hike. And my point being, we didn't get a choice of like, oh, I want to do the medium, I want to do the easy, whatever. We didn't get a choice. It's just like, this is our only group going today. You're it. Okay. In our backpack, we also have a lunch in case we are out so long that we want to stop and have something to eat. Okay. I've never been out that long, but I just want you to know like the provision is there. This day is not a race. Okay. We have all day if needed to work with the guides to try and find the gorillas. In the 3 times that I've done this, we've always found them and been back to the lodge in time and had our lunch back there. Or maybe we have it, like at a picnic table nearby, but we did not have it out like in the jungle. We didn't have our lunch out in the jungle. We were able to find them within those first few hours. So again, it's not a race. We like our people hiking, we set the pace of how fast we can go. If we need to stop and catch our breath, we stop and catch our breath. Okay. We need to stop for water. We stop for water. Okay. So I just want you to know that even though this can be a hike, because of the vegetation and like not exactly on a trail and all of those kind of things, that it's not a race. We take our time to get to the animals. And again, the rule is we're allowed to get within 30 feet. It's very possible that they can come closer. So let's look at some of the pictures that we have from here. Oh, along with the gorillas, good chance to see other animals in the area as well. This is a couple examples of different types of monkeys that are in the area. This is what the villages look like nearby nearby the windy forest. So we are now at a higher elevation. The forest itself is at like 6,000, 7,000 feet. I mean, you might feel that when you're hiking as well. This is the view from our lodge that we're staying at. This lodge is absolutely adorable. We're on the edge of this valley, sweeping views across the valley. That's the dining hall in the lodge that we stay at. And the group, as we get assigned a guide, and they'll tell us which troop which gorilla family, which troop that we're trying to find. And then they'll tell us like how many are in the troop, what they know about the silverback, what they know about the babies. In this picture here, I can see like 2 of our people, it looks like they have their own hiking poles with them. You do not need to bring your own hiking poles. It might be on our list as optional. They'll provide us with a walking stick for sure. Again, you can see we're in masks. And this just gives you an example of like, how thick is this? Okay. Here you can see Skye is up front. They're very, very close to coming up to the gorillas. He's carefully cutting away more and more of the vegetation. And there's a couple of gorillas. This is the group from 2021 that was on what was considered the easy hike. I wasn't with this group. I was with a different group of 4 or 5. We were on the medium hike. But what I want you to see is this video keeps going, and it kind of jumps around a lot. Okay. So, try not to get too seasick as this is jumping back and forth. But what you'll see is a bunch of the adult gorillas walking by, and towards the end, the silverback walks by. They're the ones that the silverback, he's the king of this family. And they're huge. They're absolutely enormous. He decides when they move. He makes all the decisions for the group. That's another big adult. That is not the silverback. But you can see like how close our group is to seeing all of this. Another big adult. And here comes the silverback. I mean, just look at the arms on that guy. They're like incredible. All of the troops that we see have been habituated, where they have spent time with these troops for 2 to 3 years before they take any tourists near them. They are still wild, absolutely wild. Being habituated means that they are not afraid of people. They know that they don't have to be afraid of people. And when we get to this point, we're very, very quiet. We're moving slowly, and watching what's happening next right before us. Just a few more views. You can just see how thick it is. Let's see what's on this video. Oh, this is a couple of youngsters. They're probably like 2 years old or so. They're just wrestling around. And the guides will do everything they can to get us in the best position, to get as close as possible as we're allowed and to get the best views. I'm gonna move down. I'm gonna move on to the next video. I kept talking. I'm already keeping you about an hour here. This is Tara, and this is a younger one in the background behind her. How can you not love seeing that? Playing, you can't help but, they look so close to, human babies playing around. Some more close-ups. Little baby. It's so very hard to describe what it feels like to be right here because you just can't believe what you're seeing. You can't believe it. Like, look at that. That's the silverback. I mean, you are within feet of a silverback gorilla. Insane. That's the whole group. Made it out of the jungle. And again, you get a certificate. Found the gorillas. This is just a little quick little video of when we are this high up in this jungle area. Very, very hilly, steep hills, gorgeous sweeping valleys, lots of coffee plantations. And then on our last, at the end of the trip, we go to Lake Mimburo and we take a boat ride all around the lake. It's our opportunity to see zebras. This is the one area in Uganda that will see zebras. We stay at this Rakobo Lodge, which has beautiful swimming pool and sweeping views. See zebras. This is an oryx, mongoose, and impalas. This is the crested cranes. They're super cool to see. And this is the boat ride that we take all around on this little lake. And again, a lot of hippopotamus in the water, Cape buffalo. I've seen Cape buffalo in the water, warthogs running around on shore. Lots of wildlife along in here. Crocodiles. our lodge that night. All the lodges, like I say, I feel like I'm in a fairy tale. That ends the trip. Green Adventures. It's only a crazy dream until you do it. That's it. To the end. Any questions, anybody? Are you ready? You guys are all muted. If you have a question, you'll need to turn your microphone on. Joan, have a question.
I got one. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So with the yellow fever, do you have to have the card?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I had one about 40 years ago. I don't have the card.
Yeah, you absolutely have to either have proof or what I would suggest for you, Joan, is what we'll look up is what do they need from your doctor for an exemption, because you yourself know you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
So then in your case, then I would, then get the letter. If you can't track down like how to get proof of that anymore, then you might want to go the letter route.
Okay. Thanks.
And I think the details on that are in our documentation. If not, we'll look it up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Someone else have a question?
I noticed the guides had on beautiful purple colors. So does that work instead of beige? Everything I have is dark black, unfortunately.
I know.
Yeah.
The colors that I have, I mean, you can see, I have green, khaki, grays, rust. I don't particularly have any purple. What we try to do, like you want to avoid bright colors, like no bright yellows, whites,
Right.
pinks, because we're trying to blend in as much as possible so that, we have the best chance to see animals as well. The biggest concern for when we're on the gorilla trek is to really blend in color wise, because unfortunately there are still poachers out there that we don't want to give them any indication of like what trails are leading to gorillas. Okay, if poachers are on a hillside miles away from us looking for a bright pink shirt coming through a trail. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we really want to blend in most of all. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. As far as like malaria meds or any other meds, we suggest everybody talk to their doctor. You and your doctor know your history, what else you may need to be concerned about. We strongly suggest everybody take malaria meds. That usually means you start 2 days before the trip, before you get to Uganda. You take them throughout the trip and you take them 7 days after. There's at least 2 different types of pills. One is a doxycycline and the other one is called Malarone. And again, your doctor will know all of this. Are there any other shots you may need? You may need typhoid. Typhoid, there's 2 different types of typhoid vaccines. One is a shot that is good for 2 years, and the other one is oral, and that lasts for 5 years. What I've heard is one has better insurance coverage than the other, but I can't give you specifics on that. And then you may need, again, depending on your history, over the years, I know I've gotten caught up with an MMR booster. I've gotten caught up on my, hepatitis A, B, C, things like that. But that's all, a discussion that you'll want to have with your doctor. Okay.
Chris asked a question about the proof of a COVID vaccine.
Yeah. We have not had to, I believe we have not had to show proof of that. Now, as soon as I say that, I know that it's also on the back of my yellow card, like all the dates that I've had the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine's just on there. Maybe that's why I'm losing track of what we need to show.
Okay.
This, of course, was you know, bigger, not that it's not a concern now. And again, we'll have to see what the guidelines are as we get closer to April. We watch all of that. But we had a lot of hoops to jump through, you know, in 2021. You know, those in those years coming right out of COVID. We still got there. We still got there in 2021. It was crazy amazing. Caroline, any questions? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. Sorry.
I
There you
was thinking about if you had a malaria shot years ago, would that still be good? Or I'll have to ask the doctor, but that's the only thing I had questions about.
Okay, I can't answer that because I don't know what malaria shots were available years ago. I do know that recently a malaria vaccine is on the market, and what I've heard is at the moment it's only available for children. Now it would be awesome if it were available by next April for adults. I'd be all over that. But what I've heard at the moment is it's only available for children.
Yeah, well, I know I had a malaria vaccine back in the 80s.
It's
But
only good for about 2 years.
yeah, that's what that's what I was thinking probably. So I would go for the pills rather than getting another vaccine.
Yep. Yeah. Any other questions? It's an exciting trip. I see all these pictures and I just like, I want to leave tomorrow. All right. If there aren't any other questions, I've already taken up more than an hour of your time. I try to keep it under an hour, but you guys all know me. You know, I get excited and I can't stop. So I appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Night, Lori.
Good night, everybody.